This is Ashish R. Bedekar, and welcome to my podcast, The ARB Show. I'm really thrilled to introduce today's guest, Balaji. And you may also know Balaji as the Quora superstar. He's a robotics engineer. He started his career at Microsoft, and right now he's founder and CEO of Inventor Robotics. And Inventor Robotics is really doing some interesting stuff in retail, in senior care, etc. Of course, we all know him as a top writer on Quora as well. Balaji, welcome to the show. Please share more about your life journey so far and overall robotics, AI, LLM landscape in general, and specifically with a focus on enterprise. I'm sure all the audience would really love to hear your perspective. Thanks once again. Over to you, Balaji.
Thanks, Ashish. Thanks for getting me on the show. And this has been a sort of a lot of ups and downs, crazy journey. And so the first sort of like 22, 23 years, I had a fairly straightforward life, and then which just and the more I got into entrepreneurship, things started getting more and more sort of like curvy lines from like more straighter lines. So I started my career at Microsoft in Redmond. Before that, I did my master's from University of Maryland in the US. I got into computer vision in my college first year. So it was crazy. So in our first year, Dr. Kalam, he was just about to become the president, and he was visiting our college. So our college was closely connected with the DRDO for a few projects, and it was a lot of buzz and this thing that he was with, and he made a impromptu visit. He didn't let us know like even 2 days before then. And he came in a jeep, and like everybody in the hostel was like very excited. Like, what do you do? Because he was already a big superstar even before he became the president. And so my friend came up with an idea. So we have to pitch him with something interesting that he would like. So there is something called this artificial neural network. We are going to take that, and then we are going to use it to give him a demo on how missiles can be tracked in real time. So that was we'll take a crazy idea, and we are going to like build a thing. And like a couple of days we worked in the lab, brought in. So we just, as I said, we were in our first year, like first semester was just ending when this happened. So we cooked up something with our knowledge of C. At that time we didn't even know C++, and brought in with a very basic neural network with being able to take, okay, this is how those simple radar point would be like substantially off the mark at that point. But still, like President or the DRDO advisor Kalam, so he looked at it. He said, "Okay, this is something promising," and he gave us good appreciation, and that got us our first start in vision. And later, about 2 years later, I got a chance to meet him in person. I sort of followed up with him. I did a little bit better prototype this time. I had some more time to that, and next time I was in Delhi, I actually walked to Rashtrapati Bhavan, and actually so it was a crazy teen phase. I told him I want to meet the president. It was they were crazy, and then so now I met him 2 years ago. I was working on this neural networks and computer vision that he really liked it. And okay, the people do not meet presidents that way. Okay, so the guy was still very respectful and friendly. But I said I'll still pass on the detail to his PA. Was the thing. So I wrote a piece of how this can work in, and then the next day was crazy. My uncle got a call. I was staying with my uncle in Delhi. Got a call it's from Rashtrapati Bhavan. What did you do? So the Kalamji asked whether you can come and meet him. I was like, that was the sort of a crazy time and the thing. So I went in an auto rickshaw with whatever crazy shirt I had. I didn't even have a good plain shirt to wear. I had this thing, and then went to meet him. So that was fascinating. And then for my I got a scholarship to continue on that with University of Maryland to do computer vision. And so I was initially detecting cars and so on. So missile project, I could not go much more further on the DRDO side, but I took the similar technology to identify vehicles from overhead cameras and so on. But the AI that we were dealing with back then, back in a long time ago, so was very in a different state. So I could not sort of build practical application back then. So there was a recruiter from Microsoft. He was teasing me, you're working on neural networks and so on. Well, who cares about? Let's work on something real. These are things that are you'll spend decades in research with
pie in the sky, as they say, right? Pie in the sky.
Yeah, and so he convinced me that come out of research career and then go into work for something. So he also promised me that he's going to give the best possible team at Microsoft. At that time, it was the Windows Core OS team. So I was among the youngest engineers to get in the Core OS team, and I was the way most possibly the dumbest person in that team. Substantially, everybody was incredible engineers, people who have built amazing stuff. And I go as that was my first job. I go completely clueless as a developer, my teammates, 3 teammates, each of them had over 12, 13 years of experience. And here I go as a developer building one of the critical applications called RPC. So my development manager, the first day came and told me, Balaji, whatever you do, don't screw up. So even if you don't code, I won't mind. But don't code something that is going to bring everything down. So he gave me a couple of examples of nuclear reactors to election voting machines that were in a couple of countries that were connected to this thing. Do not screw up. This is something a man, and that scared the hell out of me. There I am. I'm my enterprise coding skills or product coding skills were quite limited, and here my development manager, no pressure, it's just nuclear reactors and countries are dependent on it, so no big deal.
No big deal.
God, so that was and I had a lot of very good this thing at Microsoft. I spent a few years over there, and then after that I did something that my parents still hate, getting onto entrepreneurship. So my entire family was like, why? And especially coming from a very orthodox middle class this thing, and again South Indian middle class. In India, middle class itself is risk averse, and there's this South Indian this thing. It's why would anyone do that? Are you crazy? So and leaving Microsoft, leaving that was at that point the world's largest technology company. So, and you're quitting US and doing this thing this something.
They say
they probably
is crazy. You have to be crazy to get started. Yeah.
They want to literally take me to counseling, I guess. So because what's wrong? Because until then my career was fairly in a straight line. Okay, so. Get good marks, go to good college, then go to masters in the US, get a good company, progress in the career. So I checked off the boxes for a middle class Indian. Okay, so this is all and then completely throw everything on the water. Now it is a crazy journey. And built a few products along the way, and right now my heart is in bringing that computer vision, which was my first love, my first sort of code that I built to impress President Kalam. So that's what has brought me back. Now the technology is quite different, and how do you actually build up a thing where you can search within videos globally? people substantially underestimate how big of a problem this is. Every day, over 10 billion hours of video footage is generated just from security cameras. There are over 1.5 billion cameras, security cameras. They are generating a lot of data. Users are generating a lot of data from pictures, videos, and so on. The Zoom calls and all this, like creators are creating all these things. How do I get into specific things? What did this person do at this time? Can I combine all this data? That's the key theme we go in. It is querying the real world. Real world has so much of interesting data. Can we put all the insights from the videos together and combine patterns? So that's how the Mitra AI is born, and we are able to use that also on our robots, the Mitra robot, to be able to take in many critical applications. For instance, the last 6 months, we were able to identify 8 falling incidents of seniors. So we are tracking for senior living people, whether they are in any kind of danger, distress, and so on. So that is like, sort of real life-saving thing that we are doing through the robots. We also do a lot of things in manufacturing environments. Are the environmental safety, product safety, worker safety, are those standards done properly? Are the quality high? So all those things we are able to bring in through this underlying code, which is the visual AI.
Wow, that's fantastic. And you were mentioning that Mitra robot is kind of an interesting US-India kind of a corridor, right? They're made in India and exported to US. Fantastic. So yeah, I think you have got a very good perspective on the evolution of this whole space from a computer vision and AI. And specifically, you have focused on enterprise, right? So it's not something which is a research project, but real life application. So that's makes it interesting. You also mentioned that you had access to Chat GPT also quite early on. So you are uniquely positioned to really comment on such things. So in your view, if you were to say that what could be the top 5 key takeaways, right, from this whole computer vision, AI, and large language models, specifically in enterprise space, what would you say as the top 5 highlights? Let's start with the first highlight in your view.
Absolutely. The first portion is that search is going to be a very critical interface in this whole thing. And if we went back in time 30 years ago to 1993, somebody said I'm going to do search. It would be what search is something like you did on database queries and SQL queries. Why is that even a thing? Until Yahoo completely changed that whole environment, and then later Google changed. So search is a key area that changed on the Web 1.2 era. This is what we also see that in this computer vision world. Search is going to be a very, very critical one. Being able to search for things, objects, compliance patterns, quality is a massive thing. In fact, Bessemer Ventures, one of the world's leading VC firms, they recently put out a note that the search is $1 trillion problem, and completely we are upending search. So for 25 years, we are all very comfortable with Google search, and think that whole search is changing, as I said, and this visual element and the multimodality, when we talk about multimodality, being able to bring in vision, voice, everything, text together, that's going to be the first thing. Search within this environment. If I can query within my real world environment, around me, and that's going to be the most the first big trend of this thing. So that's
wow. So when you say that's a very interesting thing, because yes, even I was kind of experimenting with the Chat GPT, and I found that the way of approaching the whole question, because search typically we are still used to, you have a question, you just plug it into Google and you'll come a list of some 10 odd links, and based on that links you kind of summarize in your mind that this is what it could be. But Chat GPT kind of distills that whole top 10 links, etc., into some coherent text. Of course there are some constraints, but that would improve. When you say from a visual search perspective, are we saying things like, let's say, security cameras at, let's say, toll booths or toll gates, and if there are some specific red flag vehicles which are there, immediately that kind of triggers? Or it could be, for example, let's say from a safety perspective, there are roads on which certain class of vehicles are not allowed, but if by chance you kind of get that, then that get flagged. Or it could also be in, let's say, safety or emergency services, right, wherein you need to know that, okay, these are the kind of emergency vehicles in the traffic, and is there a way of proactively clearing the traffic ahead in front of them using, of course, traffic lights and all, so that they have a faster thing. Is my understanding correct on the kind of potential areas for search?
Yeah, and in fact, like even bigger problems are also there. For instance, healthcare. So, for instance, seniors, like globally now, there is a large number of seniors are living alone. Now, when they are living alone, are they like in any risk? Are they fallen down? Are they going through cardiac arrest? Are they going through mental health episodes? Are they in distress? All those activities now you can have with their permission have cameras, especially with cognitively disabled seniors. Now being able to identify, okay, they are in distress and bringing help on time. They are fallen down. In many cases, people might not know that they are fallen down. And this happened with my grandfather. So my grandfather slipped down and for like 40-45 minutes, nobody knew. And he died due to that. So falling is a large problem. Now, how do you get help on time? And also be able to look at patterns of a fall. So what are the so when people fall, in especially seniors, it's not a instantaneous one. There is something happened like in the minutes and hours before then, their walking gait will be a little bit off, their hip and this thing. So now if you can look at all the patterns, now what all contributing, so now visually, this senior is in high risk of a fall. So we also built a fall prevention algorithm, or sort of like fall alert, this thing where even before a falling person, okay, this person is in a high risk category. So that is one example of what vision can do. Sort of like literally life and death condition. Wow. The second one is in manufacturing. Mm-hmm. In manufacturing, we have like many customers who are looking at things like, for instance, spillages. Okay, are there spillages getting tracked and cleaned? And then are in a food services business or food production thing, are the employees following the right standards? Are they keeping their hair covered? Anybody smoking within the premises? And so there's a lot of food safety thing. And so like making sure that environmentally and the safety of the food that we are getting, they are of the highest standards. To things like safety standard, is an employee wearing the right kind of fall protection harness when they are climbing a ladder, and are those ladders in the right position? Are the fire safety things, for instance, in some of the industries that we have dealt with, the nozzles connected to the fire extinguisher, they were getting stolen. Oh, wow. Because they were made of expensive gunmetal. So you had fire extinguisher, suddenly and a hose is there, but there is no nozzle. Wow. So this is again a life and death issue. So we constantly track, hey, like the simple things like, hey, is the nozzle and fire extinguisher and the hose, all of them in the right place. And if there is a problem, immediately, this guy, it went missing right away. And so the people can come. So wow. Like that, there are like thousands of problems, which again, humans, we try to solve it, but it's a long process. So by the time somebody figures out that fire extinguisher, that somebody has stolen away the nozzle, it might be days, and you would not know what happened. And again, when there is an incident happens, then that is when we get through these tragedies. So in fact, a lot of these.
Right. In fact, this just occurred to me that many enterprises or corporates can actually take their game a few notches up. Right. For example, what if such incidences are directly integrated with Twitter, and it's published, right? So that gives a it also improves the confidence of the public, right? Saying that, hey, these guys are not hiding something, right? Because many times one of the biggest things are, that everything is clouded in some kind of a secrecy. But by doing this proactively, there would be a sense of internal importance to safety and other aspects across the ranks. Maybe that's something which could evolve.
Probably not on because like, it's still there's a lot of privacy and this thing. But again, there's a lot of things. Again, companies are, and many of the customers that we are working with, they are known for the highest standards in their industry, and in fact in a global sense. So they want to make sure they follow the highest process standards, make sure the workers are safe, make sure the products that they are bringing is safe. For instance, we are working with a couple of pharma companies. Now, are the drugs that we are creating are those made of the highest standards? And these companies, they want to make sure that they follow the best standards, and also give the confidence to the public that what we are getting is of the highest quality. So like this, these are all problems of computer vision that we can solve with today's technology.
Wow, that's excellent. I mean, the first two highlights were itself very, very enriching, and that can spawn off multiple sub threads in itself. What would be the third key highlight in your view?
Absolutely. So there is this in language models. As I said, going like more specifically, there is going to be a lot of interplay between the large language models and other parts of the system, including the computer vision. So the large language models, many of you might know it. So this is for instance, GPT-3 is a large language model. And these large language models, now they are like seen as like monolithic entities that we are dealing with a chat interface. But in an enterprise settings, there will be a number of these LLMs, large language models, that will all be connected, and they will have like different properties, and they will work in through the enterprise flows. So how enterprises sort of like figure out a way to utilize LLMs in their workflow, that is going to be the very, very critical one. In fact, the next 2-3 years of AI, what many experts believe is about integrating enterprise workflows with large language models. So this is like going back to PC era of 1980, or like internet era of like 1996, 97. So how do enterprises actually make use of it? So like in 96, 97, if you remember, like companies were doing like some basic website. Okay, like I put in mycompany.com on this thing. Again, so you can just like do a checklist, tick off, hey, like I'm on the web. But that won't get you far. But then those companies like Amazon and others, and Dell and so on, so they have intricately woven into their strategy. They were able to substantially scale. Same thing what happened in 1980 when like PC era came in. So some companies just kept on standalone PC in their thing. Hey, like now we are computerized. But then that did not bring a lot of benefit. But those companies that were able to connect these PCs into computerized networks and able to make their workflows with that, they got substantial success. So same thing is going to happen in the next 2-3 years. Yes, there are going to be companies that are going to say, hey, we are using AI, and then do some small standalone AI in the system, and then try to check off a list for their board and shareholders. Say, hey, we are doing AI. Exactly. But then the companies that are going to really succeed are going to be somebody who are going to integrate these workflows. How are these different LLMs going to come together and work for me? That is going to be the third big thing. AI workflows, companies that master them, they are going to be the successful one. The others who are just saying, hey, I'm doing AI, is going to be the the guy who just created one website landing page.
True. Yeah, I mean, we have seen many of such trends. You had the quality wave, then you had the internet wave and other waves, right? So we are seen to be cool. And also similarly, there was this whole innovation wave as well, right? So let's send a team to Silicon Valley and check mark, yes, now we are a certified innovative company. Right? So one thing, just on a slightly, it could be a different way, but I was just reading that there's a lot of talk, especially Elon Musk and others, who are kind of asking that research on AI be paused, right? And in fact, I think there was a recent interview of Elon Musk with Bill Maher, where he said that just like AI can be a threat or can have a negative impact on the public, so you need to have some kind of a board of trustees or some regulation, etc., to kind of oversee it. So what are your views on that? Would that be a key trend as well?
Absolutely. This sort of the fourth highlight. So thanks for bringing it up. Although I don't fully accept Elon Musk's position. Again, so he has a vested interest also in this segment because he had a fallout with OpenAI, and he's starting his own AI thing. So he has again, his opinions cannot be seen as unbiased in this thing, but the idea is still a relevant one in terms of putting guardrails on this thing, because we have gotten to substantial power in AI in the last 6 months that even people who were in the industry or in the industry like us, it completely surprised everyone. So as I said, we have been using GPT-3 since December 2020, where we were among the first companies to get access to. We have looked at that. But the 3.5 thing, that is what the Chat GPT came as November 30th, 2022. That is completely mind-blowing. And GPT-4 came in an even bigger thing. So people did not expect this level of sophistication 2 years ago. And so that is a very, very important one. The system is starting to show evolving properties which are not designed, which it was not designed for. So nobody, 5 years ago, if you said we are going to throw in a lot of data and a lot of work at this thing, and then it is going to have a superhuman intelligence, nobody would have, or majority of the AI researchers would have written that off. But that has happened. So we need to be very cautious right now. Again, we cannot stop the progress of technology, because technology is quite valuable. But then it is time when all the stakeholders, including our lawmakers, our bureaucrats, they all start urgently learning about what's going on. Not just, going into typing a few things in Chat GPT, which won't hurt, but then actually spending more time. This is a life and death situation. So, that's where people get a little bit cautious and afraid when we talk about regulations there, because who are the ones who are going to do the regulation, and if the regulation is done by lawmakers who have no experience of what AI is, then how are we going to even make a regulation? So think of it like I'm going to regulate on medicines, but the guy who's going to do the regulation, they are in the shaman era. So they are doing this magical thing with the neem leaf, and they are going to beat up. So let's say they are in that era of curing thing with shamanism, and then you ask them to regulate how Novartis and Merck going to operate. It's going to be a different thing. You're 1,000 years or a few thousand years apart in medical evolution. The same problem is with our lawmakers. They are in a very, very different era. For them to regulate AI in a proper way, they need to have crash courses on this thing. So the next 2 years, they should spend 30-40% of their time in AI related ones, and same thing with bureaucrats, the secretaries, the think tanks, everything. Without that, we are asking them to regulate an industry, they are going to make substantial mistakes. So we need regulations, we need guardrails, we need substantial level of protection. But for that, the people who are in charge of them, they have to get smarter.
Got it. Yeah, that's really fantastic. And yeah, so coming to the last point, which is your key fifth highlight of this industry. What would you say as a key takeaway?
So this is closely connected with a very famous memo that came out of Google about 4 or 5 days ago. So Google's one of the there is a leaked memo called "There is no moat." So the essential thing talks about that Google, as a way that they did business for like last 25 years, is completely changing with this part, and neither Google nor OpenAI have a moat in this part. So when they talk about the LLMs are not going to be owned by large companies. Of course, like Chat GPT is pretty smart and doing that. But in the last couple of weeks, a very big trend has occurred, which is that there's a lot of open source models that have come up that is like good enough. And there is an explosion of them. We are talking about 10 models, 10 LLMs, which is like sort of like each of them are competing with Chat GPT. Now your public has access to these many large language models, which like we have tried with a few of them, and we have implemented few of them in-house. That is actually extremely good in quality. Probably not as much as ChatGPT, but it will have few other advantages. Now you can have your own Google search or your ChatGPT in your laptop running as a local machine. How cool that will, like, you don't have to depend on any external infrastructure. So I'm going to use it in my phone, in my MacBook, and so on. And these are going to be lightweight, agile models. So one of the problems with ChatGPT is, it doesn't know anything after 2021. But these newer agile models, they can be made to work with real-time data. They can be tuned and so on. So now each of us have a potential to have our own sort of like ChatGPT or like a Google search. In fact, I have one thing running on my system right now parallelly. It is I'm still fine tuning it, and this is it's not even a MacBook Pro. It is a MacBook Air. I'm trying to run this thing, so I need to tune it a little bit more. But that provides both the challenge and opportunity. The challenge is that many of these technology companies that built on the strength of search and data, and like including Microsoft, Google, and so on, now their whole business models are going to be upended, because this is bringing whole new thing which people can run in their own machines. So that's crazy.
Oh.
But the other thing is when you're talking about regulations and so on. Now, yes, if it is in a larger company, you can do the regulation. Now, what if there is everybody runs their own Chat GPT in their own machine? How much of protection can you do? So this is sort of like each one having their own nuclear cake. Okay, this guy, okay, one brick of plutonium with this guy, one brick of uranium-235 with this guy. So now everybody has nuclear reactors. Now, how do you now ensure safety standards? So it's a massive thing. Again, this whole thing happened in the last 5 weeks, from April 1st onward. So there was a leak from a Facebook model. So this was put in BitTorrents.
Mm-hmm.
Torrents, their model for this thing called large language model called Llama. And since then, it brought in a cottage industry of language models. It is fascinating how things change. We thought we are surprised by GPT-4 in March, and before that ChatGPT in November. Now we are every day we are getting surprised by something crazy new happening.
Like auto GPT and baby GPT, lots of fancy new stuff.
Baby API. So even for people who have spent 2 decades in this thing, it is hard to keep track of the progress every day. People in the past, when I mean in the past, not few centuries ago, 1 or 2 years ago, the progress in AI will be. So it will be so every year we will have or every 2-3 months something cool crazy thing happens. Here we have to do it on a hourly basis. Oh, this 10 o'clock this thing came in, 1 o'clock this another message thing, and then 4 o'clock. So this is research happening in real time at a level of pace it is hard for humans to keep up. So that's sort of like I put it as the fifth one.
Really great. I think Balaji, those are really some fantastic perspectives, and I'm sure the audience would really love it. So thanks again for your inputs. So thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in. I'll also try to add some presentation which has the various social media links and bonus contents, like maybe some recommendations from books, articles, podcasts, video, etc. from Balaji that you should definitely check. And do subscribe, share, and like this podcast. Bye for now. Talk to you soon.